Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Ryan Mays and I are going to do our 10-minute question out of the bag, which I got to tell you, Ryan, we have gotten so much feedback about this. You would think the important things we do would get more feedback. This and the puppets that we did. I don't know if you saw those, the puppets that we did, which was, oh, you should go look at the puppets. We spent a lot of money getting people from the Sesame Street, actually, some of the puppeteers. So, anyway, so today we're going to take what are the best parts of being part of PS leadership and what are some of I would say challenges, but the actual question is worst parts. So, Ryan, we're going to let you start and tell us let's start with best parts, something easy.
Something easy, great. I think some of the best parts about PS is the more customers you speak with, the more you uncover real opportunities to solve problems. I mean, customers gravitate toward you because they're looking for you to help them solve a problem, whether that's growing their business to increase their revenue, reduce their operating expense to increase their margin or profitability, or improve their customer or their brand loyalty. And our projects within PS do all of those and much more. And so it's a very interesting dynamic when you're talking to customers, you're uncovering needs, you're finding out, the root cause or the root opportunity to help them solve their problems. Yes, it involves technology, it involves development and the actual delivery of said project, but at its root, you're helping a customer improve their market share and their standing within their competitive landscape, and that is a really good feeling, coming to work every day because you're really yes, you are technically helping to solve a problem, but you're really making a difference, I think, in the lives of the customers that you work with every day, and I think that's one of the best things about working in a PS environment.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I love that we're on the positive end of the stick of helping.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And I also like that unlike internal challenges, which can be, frankly, a drag over time, we get new clients. And even the same problems are different and new because they're different and new. And I have loved that. When I first got into consulting, when I had hair, Ryan and Ryan and I've known each other, but you did not know me when I had hair.
I did
But,
not.
I got in mainly to do like everybody else, to learn some and maybe skip some levels but, I I've been doing it now for, longer than most people have been alive, right? If you
Yeah,
look at the percent of humans, and I loved that it was variety, and the variety is on the not just the problem side, but on the people side, and I have, always enjoyed people. And I know you have, and looking back and saying we've helped people matter of fact, I would say, I think this is absolutely correct. My board is made of 6 people that were all clients.
well, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so they become deep, long-term relationships where I feel like they valued me and I've added value to them, and they now take pity on me and they're my board, so that's great. So, anything else about the best side, I think it's nice to be in a respected role, respected by our clients, not always understood internally, but we'll get to the worst part later, but I think it's nice to be respected too.
I think it's nice to be respected. I think you mentioned, your former customers, on your board. I think advocacy is another, wonderful benefit of working in a PS environment because it's not just word of mouth. Well, customers do speak. The customers, I think part of it is they sort of tend to lean on the negative side of what you do or how you may have disappointed them. But it works in reverse and actually even more powerful when you do a great job, when you're actually helping, to deliver a project, within a PS environment and you're really helping to again solve that customer's problem. You are building advocacy within that organization that in turn they'll turn right around and speak your praises,
Oh, yeah.
within the industry. I think that's another great way, I think, a benefit of working in a PS
Yeah, I'll give you a quick story. A gentleman on my board, when I first met him, years and years ago. He was with IBM. And our first he declines this. He says this did not happen, but it did. The first meeting I had with him, he goes, "You are 3 minutes late." Right? And, and I was like, "Wow." And I don't think I was late, by the way. That's not something I'm normally at. But years later, not only one of my dearest friends and best support and best person to go to for advice, I went to him for advice the other day. Also, we found out our families are from the same little bitty town in the thumb of Michigan. So we're probably related
Yeah.
because there's only like 80 people in that. I have not looked into it because I don't wanna find out he's my cousin, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, the worst parts, right? And you talked about it a little bit. We're held to such a high standard by our clients, an incredibly high standard that we're almost watched 24/7 while we're there or we're interacting with them because they pay so much for our presence.
Right. They're paying you for your presence. They're paying for the delivery of what they've contracted you with. But they're also, I think, paying for your leadership as well. And I think, sometimes I've run into engagements in the past where customers might have an idea of what they're looking for, but they don't have the full story or the picture. And they're looking for you to help consult and guide them into this is the solution that will meet exactly your need as you grow your business more profitably. And I think that is a little bit of a benefit, but it's also a little bit of pressure. You're having to continually uncover needs, ask probing and insightful questions to get down to the root of really why is this customer wanting to work with you. And I think here in my current role, one of the negatives is who do you say no to? Because, the more the more people you speak to, the more you understand there's a lot of customers out there that are looking for help.
Yeah.
And you only have limited resources and limited time, even if even if you'd like to say yes to everything, you really know, from a due diligence perspective, you really cannot. And so how do you prioritize? How do you tell a customer, no, not yet? Or how do you, politely decline? Because maybe in from their perspective, it's the greatest problem to solve in the world. But to your point, it may not generate enough revenue for your
Right,
organization.
right, right. It may
Yeah.
not fit. Yeah. But I love that you started with being a guide. I am right now writing today a review of a large PS group in a big company. And what I'm trying to get across is it isn't the tasks. We can get anybody to do the tasks. We can train it. It's the guide. What are they gonna remember? You helped me get there. You yeah, and I think you'd agree, every client environment's different, right? They have different things they hold holy. We can't do it that way. We can't do it we're this. And you have to work around those. And you can't just lay in best practices. You have to, love them, argue with them, hold them accountable, motivate them to get to the finish line.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think every PS opportunity has a story to tell. I mean, every customer's problem, even if you can generalize it in terms of revenue, expense management, and loyalty, to them, it's more or less a custom engagement. And so again, you are consultatively selling a solution to meet their specific needs. And I think that is it's a two-edged sword. It's a great benefit to work in a PS team, but it also puts a lot of pressure on you to make sure you get it right the first time.
Yeah, it's not for the light at heart, you know?
No.
And then and managing I think one of the challenges then is managing those pressures in an efficient and empathetic and consultative, use that word, way. And, it's not for everybody, but if you can find a home in it, I don't think there's a better career.
I think it's a wonderful mix and blend, and I agree with you of strategy, operations, leadership, and really in many ways servant leadership because you are working with people to help them solve a need, and you're there because they need you, and I think that's a wonderful feeling. But like we've talked about, it puts a lot of pressure on you as well. But I think that's one of the challenges and the beauties of coming to work every day is overcoming challenges in every way to meet a really great need and opportunity.
Yeah, and servant leadership's a great term. Years ago, I was given an award by one of the associations, and they asked me what was different, and I said, "I am not the consultant that thinks they're smarter than the other people." Yeah, and we've all dealt with them, right? They're so smart, they're so great, but,
Yeah, they're very
that does not
noticeable.
help a human move from one point to another.
Yeah, it's always interesting you say that because I have come across people in my career where once they start talking, they think that they're the smartest person in the room, and those are the people you probably want to steer clear of because
Yeah,
yeah,
they're not our kind.
yeah,
You know,
I called them me monsters because
me monsters, that's great. Ryan, you have such good language, such good
well,
language.
I got that. I watched a skittle many years ago. There was a bit where he was talking about me monsters. I'm like, I probably want to hang on to that because I'm sure it'll serve me
Yeah.
well in the future. But right.
All right. Well, listen, great time today talking about this. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, reach out to Ryan, pick his brain, and you'll see Ryan many times over the next few years as we talk about other topics. And we have him doing many things. And Ryan, you have a super day and a great week.
Well, Dean, thank you so much. I appreciate the time and I enjoyed our conversation today.